So thank you, everyone. So I have just a few quick slides to share, and that will sort of conclude our session. So hopefully everybody kind of enjoyed, the presentations and saw sort of what the kids, let me see if there's one more chat question. Oh no, okay, no, I think we're good. So saw, the kinds of things that the creativity of the students and what they were able to accomplish. So I just want to say a few things about AI and research before college and what we've learned. So the first thing I think is that, sometimes, people think of research as this extremely sophisticated and, complicated thing that usually results in a document that no one can understand unless they are deeply into the topic. We tend to approach research as more of really an organized way to think about solving real world problems. Sometimes this is taught in science class, for example, when you talk about hypotheses and experiments, but what it really comes down to, it's not limited to science class. What it really comes down to is what is the problem? What is the data-driven way to think about it, where you maybe remove some emotion and some, and I know you're very clear about what you know, what you don't know, and how you can learn something more by either experimenting or by learning from others. So because of this, I think the research is just a skill that is just really useful for life. Even if you decide not to become a scientist or a doctor, the ability to look at a problem and say, okay, how can I learn more about this, figure out what's known, what is not known, and then go ahead and add something to it, and also feel confident that what I added is correct. That is really, what learning about research really gets you. Now, why research before college? It's never too early to learn how to solve problems, and it's definitely never too early to learn how to learn. Because one of the things that's happening, particularly in technology, is that it's changing so fast that we're no longer in a situation where we can learn something once and feel like we can work for the rest of our lives on what we learned. We all are learning all the time. So the skill of learning how to learn is really kind of a very important thing in its own right. And all of us parents, many of us on the call are parents, and we know that, college is a very competitive thing, and being able to show distinction prior to college is a big part of making yourself competitive for a college application. And definitely doing research is one way to be, extremely distinctive, but it's also a way, as, kind of Anika pointed out in her presentation, it's a way for developing passion and areas of interest. And one thing I think hopefully you saw in these presentations is that they're all very different. But the students who have done them are very passionate about that topic. Mihit cares greatly about agriculture, Anika cares greatly about health, Shreya cares greatly about helping the disabled, and so forth. And then why AI? So these are actually some statistics that I dug up about a week ago. These are I live in the Bay Area, and one of the science fairs that is in the Bay Area is called the Synopsis Science Fair. It's a regional fair for part of the Bay Area. What the first bar graph shows is the percentage of winning projects that won some kind of an award at Synopsis that used AI. About a year ago, it was a little over 30%, which means almost 1/3 of the winning projects used AI. This year, it was more like 35%. So you can already see that AI is becoming a way to solve all sorts of interesting problems that kids have been able to approach and fix, use. The other chart, which is a little harder to read, the second one, is actually more interesting. The blue line shows how kids used AI in 2020, and the red one shows how kids used AI in 2021. So the first thing you can notice is that in 2020, among sixth graders, it was like 5%. This year, among sixth graders, it was over 30%. Last year, among seventh graders, it was a little over 20%. Now it's well over 40%. So one thing that we are seeing is that these technologies are moving to younger and younger ages, where kids that are younger every year are able to find, interesting and fun things to do using these technologies and using real data. And if you actually look at these projects, you will see that, they range across the board. Some of them are science, some of them are self-driving cars, some of them are, predicting sign language and stuff like that. And so it's a very nice way to, combine the natural creativity that these kids have already, but give them tools and give them, sort of empower them with ways that they can actually, solve real world problems with lots of real data and lots, to be practical, of real data, something that they may not be able to do if they weren't using a technique like AI. So hopefully I've convinced you that this is something that is actually, empowering for kids and also fun for kids and also valuable for kids. How do you get started? Let's see, why is my deck not working? Huh? How do you get started? Find a topic you care about. We help a lot of kids through this, learn kind of the research process, learn some AI, and then try out stuff and see what you figure out. So all the kids that presented, today are, they worked on this topic. They tried out things, as you saw from some of the presentations. The first thing they tried didn't always work, but they then sat down and said, what's going on here? Why didn't it work? Tried out something else, and along the way, they learned a lot. And then goals and targets, we've seen students do well at science fairs. We've seen them do well in innovation and science competitions. We have a number of students who are working towards publications, and Bharath pointed this out, is that this is definitely a venue for high schoolers. We've also got, I think, two groups of students who are doing nonprofits and startups based upon some of the innovations that they've created. So this concludes our main session. I hope you guys enjoyed it. There's some questions on the chat. Let me see if I can answer them. Yes, the recording of this session will be provided to all the attendees. And this is our main session. We have a second teacher professional development session starting in about 20 minutes for the teachers. If you are going to be joining that, we will look forward to seeing you. If not, I hope you enjoyed this session. And if you have any further questions, please feel free to contact us at any time. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you guys, or maybe see some other kids that attended this, do some of their own AI innovations. Thank you very much, everyone.